Well, there's never a dull moment. I have had a kind of scary but elating day because I finally confirmed what I already knew, and that Huawei is spying on me through my phone, along with the CCP, Chinese government. When I started to see the signs a while ago, I was reticent to share. More because I don't want to cause alarm, mostly with my mother. A lot of people tell me I'm putting myself out there, and I know I am. But I have to. I have to. What I see happening in our world right now is not where we want to go. We have seemingly forgot who we're dealing with. And the world leaders, they've all forgotten. Why? Because corporations have moved on in. And they are now making decisions that affect us in our respective nations by doing business with China. I don't know how we've forgotten that this is an authoritarian dictatorship. Communism, that's what it is. As China has grown and emerged as a world economic leader, everyone seems to forget all of the atrocities, like they didn't exist. Like somehow one has nothing to do with the other. The fact that dissidents are still rounded up and thrown in jail. And in fact, that was what the Hong Kong protests were all about. The fact that they wanted to grab people in Hong Kong and haul them back to China for prosecution. This is why people were willing to fight to the death. And now COVID-19, patented virus, unleashed against its own population. Yes. And throughout the world. And yesterday I stopped short of what I should have said. And that's committing genocide. Because we see where they've dropped and planted that virus in South America, Africa, in all of the areas that are nowhere near the airport or the cities, into indigenous cultures that go back thousands of years in some cases. The Whywe, for example. Old people are a problem. Elders are a problem. It's not their age so much, it's their knowledge. It's what they remember. Traditional ways of doing things. They are a danger to everything new. The sustainability they're seeking is to remove the population from these remote areas in order that these corporations, and in South America and Africa, we're talking 100% China, in order that they operate unencumbered. I knew China was in my phone quite some time ago. First time in the fall when I started talking about them again. And I say again because I used to talk about them in my magazine, Organic Lifestyles, which I published for 5 years, from 2005 to 10. In 2008, I started discussing China in my national publication. And it was a red alert I felt at the time that the world was forgetting who these people were. I'm not referring to the people of China. I'm referring to the government of China. Unfortunately, the people have been socialized to believe in that power. Most people. Mostly forced, because they aren't really free to come to their own determination. Or they're threatened, jailed, disappeared, relatives and friends threatened. This is what happens in China. In 2008, I started speaking about the Beijing Olympics because I thought it was, I just couldn't believe the world was forgetting what was going on at the time. And I did a 2-page spread on the first was a 2-page spread on the Fuwas, which were the characters that they created to represent the rings of the Olympics. And I depicted them, each of the characters, in their true character. And that didn't go over so well. I got a letter from the then president of the Chinese Business Association in Vancouver. That was my first hate mail I'd ever gotten. Putting me in my place. I thought it was funny. I know I have it here somewhere. I've got to go look for it. After that, it was the melamine milk. During the Olympics, China had the melamine milk scandal, and I'm sure some of us remember that. The thing is, what most people didn't understand was that they knew about it before the Olympics started, in fact. They covered it up. Yuli was one of the sponsors that provided the milk to all the athletes. It was a sponsor of the Olympics, and they were in on it. And it was, the story broke the day after the Olympics ended. And after everybody drank the milk, by the New Zealand Prime Minister at the time. China didn't let the cat out of the bag at all. Between COVID-19 or anything else, you cannot believe their figures. You can't. I know their figures are worse than they're saying. For sure. Double it. Double it. In Uganda, I got another taste of the Chinese when I was in Bundabujo, 2015. And there I got followed by Chinese spies. A Chinese spy, nobody's too small when you're in Africa or you're in an area where the Chinese are developing quite extensively. Everybody's on the radar, and anyone foreign, for sure. Originally, I thought it might be one of the cocoa companies, the big cocoa companies there, figuring out who I was. Or maybe some of the smaller guys. Maybe the band of criminals that I was dealing with. I found out through the girl at my hotel who took care of my computer when I would leave the hotel, and we had a nice little relationship. She's the one who found out for me who was following me. When I left Ecuador this time, after my stories about what does China want with our seniors, talking about the future smart city development I was in, was it a fortress for Chinese coming to Ecuador? Because I believe there's going to be a big population shift in this area. And I think it's going to be Chinese in the walled fortresses, the smart cities. When I got on the plane to Quito, now the thing is there, you never see any Chinese nationals. Very, very seldom. The only time I've seen them is in the Chinese restaurant. And once at the mall. And it was the owner of the cafe I was in, and I could tell because she was giving the workers shit. It's the only time I've seen Chinese people, in Manta particularly. There is an oil refinery, not too far, Chinese invested. But when I got on the plane, I had two right next to me. 28, 30, super, super buff, wearing kind of hip hop clothing. And the minute I sat down, I thought to Uganda 2015, because the guy that followed me, it was the hip hop wear. It was so out of place and ridiculous. And when I sat down, I thought, oh my gosh, I had a really weird feeling. And I went to sleep. I didn't go to sleep. I closed my eyes. I just felt weird energy. And I opened him a couple times, and he was on his phone, one of the guys next to me. And it was in Chinese, so it was confirmed he was from China. I could see the characters. I don't know if it was Mandarin or Cantonese. I'm not that good. But then I woke up. I sort of opened my eyes, and a second time, and he was studying me. And that was weird. And he turned around right away. And I kept my eyes wide open the rest of the way. And I thought, checking me out. Then I thought, no, come on, Martine. I mean, you had 40 viewers. What's interesting about my channel, which I'm finding, is that half my viewers are from Canada and the United States, a little bit from the UK, a little bit from Australia. That represents about 56%. The rest is from an undisclosed location, or just not on the map, and it's China. You mention China, they're on it. They have billions of people, and they take security pretty seriously. They want to know what's being said out there, and they're on it. And that's why I know they're in my phone. Another clue to the phone thing is the whole, taking something that should take me 10 seconds in an editing, which normally would, sometimes can take 10 minutes. And they're perfect, and I'll have the exact 14 seconds to get on my Instagram and the perfect fit. It is added a second and skip back. So when I start on the story, for example, it'll be like, really loud, something that will make somebody click off. It's interesting. The thing in my phone is also more about slowing me down and pissing me off and frustrating me, because this is how they do it. It's the same thing when you get soft censored on Instagram, for example. The same thing it happens where you try to put it up and it won't take it, it won't load it. And before you know it, you're frustrated and you just forget it. I'm not going to do it. A few weeks ago, actually a month ago, I was followed from my street. And I was pretty sure it looked like China. Now, the man wasn't Chinese. It was a blue car, and I caught it I caught it in my eye as I turned off my street. When I got to my major thoroughfare to turn right, it was right behind me. And when I got to a light, he was right behind me, another 3-4 miles down the road. I saw and I paid attention and got into my store to do my promotion set up, and it was maybe a half an hour later I looked up and there he was across the store watching me. I immediately felt it. And as I was talking to customers and people about the products I was selling, I could see him edging up, and I was watching. He got a couple of aisles over from me, and he kept picking up things and looking at them like gummy bears, like stupid things that you don't look at in a health food store. And I just had a feeling he was a private detective. Just that feeling. And he kept coming closer, and he got really, actually about 10 feet, about 8 feet away from me. He was looking at these peanuts and, again, stupid stuff. And I finished with the woman I was with, and I said, "Hi, did you get everything you need?" And he was kind of taken aback. And he said, "Well, I'm kind of new here. I don't really come to the health food store." And I said, "Well, it's always a good time to start." Gave him a nice little chat, made him understand that I saw him. But before all that, I took a picture. And when I spoke to him, he was on 3 video cameras. Blue car. He left, and I went outside and I watched that blue car drive away. I felt it a couple other times too. In any case, I'm not trying to freak anybody out. I'm not trying to freak myself out. I'm just merely disclosing what's actually going on in my world, because this is how they do it. What is our government even thinking about with Huawei? And the fact that TELUS has now let Huawei in the back door with 5G technology, we should be very scared of that. Anyone who owns a Huawei phone should be getting that checked out. Now, interestingly enough, I phoned CSIS. Canadian Security Intelligence Service. Yeah. I talked to the switchboard. They're really not interested. I may hear back from them, but I doubt it. You'd think that would be security, but it's not national security. It's just my security. Guess that doesn't matter. I phoned Rogers too. And I got the same thing from them. I talked to technical support, and I got kind of pissed off at the end because I said, "So you're meaning to tell me that you're not concerned at all that Huawei might be in my phone and listening on my Huawei phone?" No. All I can do is reset it. Wouldn't you think that Rogers would care that their customer security is being compromised? The thing is, these corporations have no heart, they have no ethics, they don't care. And this is the world we are welcoming with globalization. And we're rolling the mat out for China. Are we on glue? I know I'm not. I'm thinking our politicians are. They're colored by money. This race for 5G, what a joke. Who needs that? Just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean we have to do it. I wish Canada would be a leader instead of a follower. Because you think, our nation with only 35 million people, it's an advantage to us. Quite honestly, this global model will achieve nothing more than destroying the way of life that we have. Never going to have it again. Your kids aren't going to have it. Your grandkids aren't. Not if we don't start standing up right now. And I'm calling on, number one, Generation Xers like me. I know we got things. I had equality delivered to me. We didn't have to fight for these basics. But we're going to lose the things that we've never put a value on. It makes me so sad. In any case, I'm not getting intimidated. I'm not letting them. To me, it's my mission to make the world understand where we're going. That Agenda 2030 is as much the United Nations as it is China. And our government's in on it. And apparently the direction they're going. We will never know this Canada again if we continue in this direction. It will be lost forever.